نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. ونشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في الله حق المجاهدة حتى أتاه اليقين. أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل كما جاء في محكم التنزيل: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. My dear brothers and sisters, we praise and abundant praise in glorification, exalting our beloved Creator who has provided us with life and everything in it. And we recognize that amongst all of His favors and blessings, guidance is that which builds a special connection between us and the world of the unseen that is regulating the affairs of this universe. So I wanted to begin today by saying that, I have a very interesting announcement that a lot of people were waiting for. An announcement that basically you heard this Malaysian airplane, right? It's found. Alhamdulillah, it's found. And as a matter of fact, it was never lost in the first place. It was always obviously clear where it was going, and its ultimate fate. Not from our perspective, because we have a limited perspective. We don't know everything. And this idea that nothing exists except for that which we are aware of is illogical and false in and of itself. Just because you didn't know about something does not mean it doesn't exist. So the Holy Quran tells us, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. You were not given any knowledge except for just a little tiny bit. And so when we talk from the perspective of Al-Alim, Al-Khabir, Al-Sami' Al-Basir, the omniscient, all aware, all seeing and all hearing, absolute truth behind existence, then everything is very clear to Him. وعنده مفاتح الغيب لا يعلمها إلا هو ويعلم ما في البر والبحر وما تسقط من ورقة إلا يعلمها ولا حبة في ظلمات الأرض ولا رطب ولا يابس إلا في كتاب مبين. The Quran tells us that the keys to the reality of the unseen are His property. And He knows everything that is happening in the whole universe, down to every atom and what its function is and how it relates to the atoms around it, and all of these great things. What's going on in the depths of the ocean, what's going on up in the sky, what's happening across the world right now. He's very absolutely, completely aware of what we're doing right now, and He knows about the leaf that fell off the tree some ways away. So this is the reality of divine knowledge. and the human arrogance is growing. We live in an age and a time when we have grown in our knowledge 100 times in the last 100 years, more than we did in the last 1,000 years before that. And so as a result of this, we have many great blessings. We have this, inshallah, air-conditioned facility, the lights, alhamdulillah. We have our cars that got us here. We have many great things that we're benefiting. And alhamdulillah, these are all very beneficial and good. But what has happened as a result of human growth in knowledge is a huge movement towards the idea that we should know everything. That we know everything. As a matter of fact, I was reading on an atheist website them saying that, for years the mythology of religion has been trying to explain the existence, and now science has, in the past tense, decided and figured out all of these things contrary to the mythology of religion. This is what they have been saying historically. And so this is the atheist dogma. And it comes from an idea that, well, some of the things that religion was teaching have been proven false, right? Religion was teaching that the whole universe is 6,000 years old. That's what it had been saying for some time. Religion taught, in many cases, the earth is flat. And they found out that the earth is round. Religion was saying that anytime somebody shakes and acts strange, they must be possessed by demons. Science proved that there are observable, factual realities of brain and chemicals that is making those things happen. So they're saying, see, now all of religion and the existence of God, because of those few things, are completely false. It's all mythology. And so the Holy Quran basically says, بَلْ كَذَّبُوا بِمَا لَمْ يُحِيطُوا بِعِلْمٍ. That people, they reject things that they don't know about, right? And there is a famous saying that the person has enmity and rancor towards the thing that they're ignorant of. That's just the nature of human. If I can't figure it out, I don't know it very well, I don't have a good relationship with that thing, then I have some feeling of enmity with that thing. So whenever I was following the coverage of this Malaysian flight 370, it became apparent to me that almost, a month and a half after the fact, a month and a half later, they have not found any trace of any evidence whatsoever as to what has happened to this plane. And the modern media that thinks that now the modern world, we figured everything out, we know everything, we're able to figure everything out, they are imminently waiting for the looming evidence of what happened to the plane. And they're very insecure about this. This is a huge insecurity. By the way, the word iman, it comes from the same word as which is secure, right? So our faith gives us security that we don't need to know what happened to the plane. That is not something we need to know. And we can be sure that although they believe, their belief is in the modern world, that a plane like that, with all of our technology and all of our knowledge, cannot disappear without a trace. That to them is impossible, right? To us, it is very much possible, right? Because the knowledge is not in our hands. We don't know everything. And so this is basically the reality that we see, the struggle between people. Those who have believed in the unseen, and they realize there's something beyond them, and those that do not, right? We don't know 1% of everything. And as a matter of fact, whenever you study science, you keep seeing that every year they're making thousands and hundreds of thousands of hypotheses and theories, and they're trying to figure it out, right? It's going to continue that way until Yawm al-Qiyamah. People will be trying to figure out the reality. It is the big fitna of the human brain to assume itself that it is its own creator. And at the end of the day, shirk, polytheism, to associate other of creation with the qualities of God is the absolute most reprehensible action or thought or practice or belief, right? So to think that I should know everything and that I will not accept something if I don't know it and perceive it right now in front of me, that is assuming that you know everything. And who knows everything? So what's wrong with these people and why their hearts seem sealed off is that very reason. They have chosen to take themselves and their mind as a God, besides God Almighty Himself. And that is why they will not ever, until they choose to recognize in humility that I do not, nor will I ever know everything. I do not have comprehensive knowledge. When we look at the beginning of the Holy Quran, we're told to pray at least 17 times a day. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Guide us to the straight path. Guide us to the straight path. And then that path is, in the very beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, outlined very easy. And it starts out with something that you can't understand. And it's something from the unseen. Alif Lam Mim. Does any of you really know what that means? No, you don't. There are 17 different scholarly interpretations, and they all say that they're right. And the reason why is because it's all human attempt to try to figure it out. And that is the beginning of God telling you, you have to accept some things that you can't understand. This is the beginning of the Holy Quran, right? ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ. Now the whole book coming after that point, لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. There is no doubt about it. It is a true revelation from the Creator of the universe. هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Its purpose, it will be guidance for not just anyone. Al-Muttaqi. What is Al-Muttaqi? The one who has taqwa is the one that is recognizing that I am subservient to the Creator. And so I have to seek to do His will by going against my own desires and my own will and my own thoughts of what I think it should be. Right? And so it's that safety in knowing that there is one taking care of me. And that I am not responsible for everything in my life. Right? This is the beginning of it. But you cannot have any sort of taqwa, no faith, and you will never do any good deeds unless you have الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. The very first quality and characteristic of a true person who will soak up, because when it says هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, it is guidance for people who have taqwa, then those who do not have taqwa will not see guidance from it. They call it mafhum al-mukhalafa. That the opposite is true. If you have no taqwa, you feel the Quran, I'm not really buying this. I'm not feeling it much. Right? It's not moving me. I don't have much of an interest to read it very much. Right? That is the absence of taqwa. And taqwa, alladina, these are sifat. Right? Asma al-mawsula bi asl sifa. It is a describing connector. Something you're hearing. Alladina, those who. This is the description of those people. Who is al-muttaqin? The first, most consequential and foundational characteristic of those people. Yu'minuna bil-ghayb. They are secure in their reality that there are things beyond the reality that they can perceive. That's the first and foremost reality that anyone can. And if you do not have that, guess what? You will not tuqimu salat. You will have a hard time. Somebody may ask themselves right now, why is it that I'm having a hard time keeping up with my 5 daily prayers? I will tell you, because you're having an issue in your belief in the unseen. You're having an issue believing in that God created you and that He revealed the Quran and that revelation came from Him and there are angels watching you everywhere you go and that when you die there will be Yawm al-Qiyamah and you will either go to heaven and hell, and prayer is a very consequential factor in that process. Right? So if you're not sure about all of those things that you cannot see, then you will probably not pray very much. Nor will you give charity. That's why the Prophet ﷺ says, "As-sadaqatu burhan." Burhan li'esh li'imanik bil-ghayb. Right? That the charity is a proof of your faith in what you cannot see. Because in the fact of the reality, when you, like that's why if you ask some people that have no iman bil-ghayb, why do you have to pray 5 times a day? That's a waste of a lot of your time. Why many of the people say I don't pray? Because it seems like I don't have time. Why? Because in the shahada, and what they see in front of them, is that I need to spend my time doing something that benefits me here. Not necessarily something that I don't see. Benefiting myself in establishing a connection with one that I can see, that when I die, I will either see or not see. You see? Based upon my following or not following. So this is the most consequential aspect that will affect every aspect of people's belief as a Muslim. So then the same thing goes. Will you believe in what the Prophet ﷺ was revealed to him and before him if you're not believing in the Creator and the angel Gabriel who brought it? Right? Things you have not, nor will you see in this life. Right? So this is the issue. وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. Will you be certain about the hereafter if you're not believing in the unseen? It is the key It is the consequential factor that faith will either raise by or faith will go down by. And thus the deeds will either go up or down as a result. And that's why Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, his name is As-Siddiq. For this very exact reason. Right? Abu Bakr, when the Prophet ﷺ told him, I was up in the cave and this very supernatural reality, this guy came and he said these words and he told me, and now I'm the messenger of God to mankind. Abu Bakr said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa annaka Rasulullah, without any hesitation, right? And we'll talk about why, right? And then whenever the Prophet ﷺ told some of his companions, he said, as a matter of fact, last night, the angel Gabriel came and brought this strange supernatural horse-like figure. And then we went all the way to Jerusalem, up into the seven heavens, back down. We prayed there at Masjid al-Aqsa, which doesn't exist in the real world, if you're paying attention to history, right? Because it was destroyed by the Romans before. God can make anything as He likes it, right? And then I returned last night. So some of the people who were called Muslim and had embraced Shahada started to doubt the religion. They had a problem with this. Why? Because their confidence in what they see is giving them a doubt about what they cannot see and what's beyond their perception. Right? So then some of them came to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. They said, Abu Bakr, you've known Muhammad your whole life. He's telling us last night that he went to Jerusalem, up in the seven heavens and back. What do you have to say to that? He said, I've been certain that for many years now he's been receiving revelation from an angel who comes from up there. Why he can't take him up there is beyond me. Right? So his certainty in the fact of the matter of the unseen is why he was the greatest of the companions. Right? That is why he was who he was. And that is why he affected so many people in a very positive way. He turned the lives around of many great people. We would not have Uthman ibn Affan as the Khalifa and all the great things that he did if it wasn't for the da'wah of Abu Bakr. We wouldn't have Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. We would not have Talha. We would not have Az-Zubair and many other great companions. His da'wah was the most effective. Why? Because he was certain in the unseen. Now some people might say, well, Abu Bakr and the rest of us are fools. And we're just believing in stuff we don't even see. Yeah, that's what's wrong with the world today. People believe in stuff they don't see and then they kill each other over it. Right? This is the atheist agenda. Well, the fact of the matter is, to say something doesn't exist that you haven't seen is an illogical fallacy. By the concept of logic, just because you didn't see it does not mean it doesn't exist. This is across all nations of logic reasoning. Nobody would ever deny that that is a false statement. It doesn't exist because I haven't seen it, right? So that as a logical point is invalid. Now we talk about what led people to say that. So Abu Bakr, let's look at his perspective. His perspective is, since I was a young boy, I've been knowing Muhammad, the son of Abdullah. And I've known him to be a very moral person, a very upright person, a very honest person. I have never caught this person telling a lie. And I promise you, Abu Bakr in his life had met hundreds of thousands, if not every other person he had met in his life that had told lies and he knew they were telling lies. Just like me and you have known most everybody we knew told lies, right? So he's saying this guy never told a lie. And he's a morally upright person, right? He would not tell me a lie, right? And so that's his perspective, right? And then you have the issue of historical prophecy. You have the issue of the miracles that were performed thereafter. Now, with regard to miracles, right? So the people of Moses, they saw the stick and what happened to it, right? Pharaoh watched that. And the other magicians watched that. What was the other magician's position? Because they have some knowledge, right, about magic, they said that is not just magic. This is not something that we can understand. It is clearly beyond that, so what he's saying is true. What did Pharaoh say? That's ridiculous. This is magic. Right? So even something that is beyond their perception, they will, and that's why the Quran said when people demanded miracles from the Prophet, there were people who watched a dead man get up in Palestine years ago when Jesus called him, alayhi salatu wassalam, and they said, this is magic. Right? And this is the historical reality. He says, Ashara ila al-qamr. He said, look at the moon. And then they said, Sihrun mubin. This is clear magic. Right? The moon split in front of their eyes and came back. This is some sort of magic. Right? So even things that were there to prove to them, It's because they don't want to accept their arrogance in their heart, which is the very beginning of evil. Shaitan said, I will not bow down to him. Why? Because I'm better. I should be the one. Even though he knows in a personal relationship, the one who's telling him to bow down is God. It's not a matter of faith. It's not about he has to figure God out and look into the creation and look into his heart and find God. He knows him. But his arrogance is what blinds him to be able to see that I am no way, shape, or form in the right by telling him that my idea is more correct than his, because I came into existence as a result of a command that came from him, and I'm very well certain aware of that, right? So arrogance is the key to all evil, and it is arrogance that would tell someone what I see and what I perceive is the truth. Anything that I haven't is not the truth, because they are claiming for themselves al-ilm al-mutlaq. They're saying that I am al-lam. I know everything, right? And that is the nature of God, whom we know is the creator of the universe and not any human being. Human beings are by nature faulty. So when we look at the relationship between human beings, our intellectual, moral self-awareness, and our relationship with the unseen, it's a very beautiful relationship. And that's why the beginning of the Surah Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahman. So you're looking around and you're saying, wow, look at all this beautiful creation. Look at all of the trees and the colors and the flavors of the fruits that naturally grow and the honey from these bees that naturally move around and so meticulously do their work in a very specific way. All of that, wow, right? Ar-Rahman, right? Those things that you're really realizing that came from Ar-Rahman, Allam al-Quran. The key to him is revelation. The most important thing, it's not important that we come to figure out what happened to the plane, brothers and sisters. It's important about what we do and what's going to happen to us when we die. That's what's important. And that's what the Holy Quran is all about. So we can now attest to ourselves, how much do I really believe in the unseen? How much do you read the Quran? How much do you study the life of the Prophet? How much do you spend time at the mosque and building community and working for the religion? That's how much your belief in the unseen is, and that's how much your actual faith is. And so it goes up or down based upon how much you work to exert yourself. So then he says after that, عَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانِ, that the human being will have no value or purpose unless he embraces what was said before it, the Quran, right? You will see no real purpose to life unless you look into the Quran, and you will have no value. You'll be like an animal, actually worse, as the Holy Quran says, right? خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانِ عَلَّمَهُ الْبَيَانِ. Right? The human being is constantly with this deep, self-aware introspection, thinking, why? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Why do you think that is? Because it is the key by which you will find that there is something clearly arranging and organizing all of these affairs around me, including myself and my life in and of itself, that I need to seek, to find. And the more you seek that, the more your faith goes up, the more your deeds go better, and the more society becomes a more godly, peaceful place to live. The less that you seek to fulfill that, and you become just like an animal, wanting to make, and to make money, and to build houses, and to drive cars, and to use the restroom. Those are things that are not seeking real purpose and design for the major impact of life. So he says, خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ عَلَّمَهُ الْبَيَانَ الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ بِحُسْبَانٍ. He's saying what? My creation that I put around you, watch it. How you interact with the sun, how you interact with the moon, it's an exact, specific, set course. And it's in your benefit. Half day, half night, generally speaking. You need it that way, right? He's saying, look at how I do that, right? Right? So your life, it needs to be upon a set system as well, right? If you look at the purpose of the stars and the trees, they are all helping us in so many different ways. They are all working for our benefit, right? Right? So then he says, He's the one that created the heavens and the universe, and He has set a specific system for it. You human being are very aware of your functional interaction with this system. Do not transgress. Do not cause harm, oppression, corruption to anything. Be a functionally, positively aware, conscious solution to problems of society. Going back to how? He taught them about that. So this is the method that is telling us how we seek to know Him, how do we see the world of the unseen behind the scene, and how we actively function in a positive interaction with it for a well-being in our lives and those around us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness and His guidance. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. It is of humility, which is one of the pinnacle characteristics of a true person of faith, that we wholeheartedly accept and become certain that we know one thing for sure, that we don't know everything, and that we will never know everything, and that we are far below this omniscience that we seek to have a relationship with. So we know that He is the one who knows and has full knowledge of everything. So we seek His guidance and His knowledge and His wisdom in our lives, which comes from revelation. And we will not have that if we don't have a good relationship with revelation. We know that He is the Qadir. He is the omnipotent. He has full power and ability over everything that exists. So we don't rely on ourselves and the world around us. First and foremost, we rely on Him, and then after that, we are pleased and content that He knows what's best. Right? I don't know what's best, and I don't have control over anything, right? Except for my intentions, according to the ulama, right? So this is where we come to this recognition. We have a pure relationship with the world of the unseen. So some people might tell you, still, I'm having a hard time. These scientists and people who love science and all of that, ask them. So, do you know where everything came from? Right? Well, there was a Big Bang. Where did that come from? Okay? Ask somebody, why is there gravity pulling everything? Why is gravity making me a human being? This some wood. Why is, these are fibers in the carpet. Why are they all like that? With such a very symbiotic system with each other in this world. Such a very intelligently designed system. Gravity is something no scientist can explain for you. They have no explanation for it. Sleep. Why are we sleeping? Dreams. What is the dream? Where did it come from? How are we making a movie in our mind every time we go to sleep? Right? They don't know. They cannot answer these questions. These are things beyond the human capacity. The power of the human mind. If you study in science and medicine the placebo effect, it's quite amazing. The placebo effect makes it very hard to know if drugs are actually solving your problems. Because when the human mind thinks that this is going to solve my problem, it's called psychophysiology. Your brain can make you better. That's why people who are depressed get sick very easy, and people that are generally happy do not. And so that is a very interesting realm that no scientists, they say that's how it is. We have quantified that that is true. But why? I have no idea. It's not scientific. It's a mystical, spiritual realm. And that's where we recognize those things. We have to seek to grow and recognize. Just like those people are still looking for the plane, we have to always consciously be looking for what counts and what matters. We have to look for our relationship with God and try to build it and grow it through revelation, through the knowledge of the prophetic reality and the teachings, to try to grow our reality in our relationship with the unseen, so that when it becomes the seen, that we are very ready and prepared for it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide our hearts, to make us people of seeking truth. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we not be a people who just try to follow religion as some inherited family custom. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we authenticate our relationship with Him in growing and becoming true servants of His cause. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us sincere, humble, honest servants of God, recognizing our shortcomings and weaknesses, seeking to rectify those through revelation and scripture. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our shortcomings, weaknesses, and laziness in our faith. We ask that He put motivation in our hearts, and that we seek to act on that motivation in building upon the revelation that He revealed. We ask that we take the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his great noble companions who had a direct connection of certainty with the world of the unseen as our examples. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the influence of shaitan and all of his allies and all of their propaganda be removed from us and that we be protected from it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to unify our hearts and connect us in our relationship with each other, in our relationship with Him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His peace and blessings and mercy upon His final Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.